Today, we're really diving into the source material for, well, a global phenomenon, J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah, the first one. And our mission isn't just a summary. We want to really break down how it's built.
Hmm.
Looking at the core world building, the plot structure, which is surprisingly tight, and maybe pull out some of those themes that made it click with so many people, including you listening.
Absolutely. And you see that structure right away, the brilliance of it. Rowling doesn't just ease you in.
Oh,
It's more like she slams these two completely different worlds together. You start with the Dursleys. Number 4, Privet Drive.
oh, the Dursleys.
Right. Defined by wanting everything to be perfectly normal. You know, the type who didn't hold with such nonsense.
And the writing there, it's so precise, almost clinical, isn't it? It really grounds how absurd their control over Harry is.
It does.
You get that sense of outrageous neglect, sleeping in a cupboard, no real birthday.
Just that cheap lemon ice pop at the zoo.
Exactly. That one detail, it says everything about his life before magic. It's just bleak.
It makes the contrast so much sharper when the magic does arrive, because the book starts by showing you these weird little things, a cat reading a map, people in cloaks celebrating, but all from Mr. Dursley's grumpy, ordinary point of view.
Which makes the magic feel earned, almost.
Yeah.
When it finally breaks through, it's not just draped in.
Well, yeah. Because first you have Harry himself doing accidental magic, right?
Yeah.
Talking to the snake at the zoo, making the glass vanish, little hints.
Little sparks.
And then the letters. Oh, the letters. First one, then loads them pouring through the fireplace. It builds and builds until Hagrid literally tracks them down to that hut on the rock.
Yeah, talk about a dramatic entrance. It's like reality itself is just being ripped open.
And Hagrid is that rupture. He's huge. He's chaotic. He represents everything the Dursleys hate.
He's the ambassador for this other world.
But what's really interesting, I think, is how quickly Rowling gets into the practical side of things, the logistics of being a wizard.
Right. It's not all just waving wands. Harry's suddenly dealing with a whole different system.
Like Gringotts Bank, run by goblins. That's not just a cool fantasy detail.
No.
No, it immediately tells you something about power and maybe prejudice in the wizarding world. Finance and security aren't even handled by wizards themselves.
Huh. That sets up a lot for later, doesn't it?
Hmm.
The idea that this magical world isn't perfect either. It has its own issues, its own hierarchies.
Exactly. Right there in the bank. And then there's the journey to Hogwarts itself.
Oh, the Hogwarts Express. I love the bit where Hagrid, this giant guy, gets stuck in the London Underground barrier.
Ah, yeah. And complaining about Muggle trains being slow. It's funny, but it also keeps grounding the magic in relatable, everyday annoyances. You still have to catch a train, even if it's a magic one through a secret wall.
Platform 9 3/4. Such an iconic image. So Harry gets his supplies, the wand choosing him, Hedwig.
And then he meets the people who are going to shape his whole experience, because up till now, he's just the boy who lived, famous for something he doesn't even remember.
The lightning scar. Hagrid confirms it's from Voldemort, he who must not be named.
Right. But that fame doesn't mean much without connections. And immediately, he finds Ron Weasley.
Good old Ron. Awkward, overshadowed by his brothers, worried about money.
And just wants his rat scabbers to turn yellow. It's such a simple, relatable desire for a kid who feels overlooked.
And then, boom, Hermione Granger. Completely different energy.
Oh yeah, bossy sort of voice, knows everything already, fixing lasses, turning matches into needles and transfiguration.
She's the brains, isn't she?
Yeah.
You see right away how the trio works. Harry's the heart and the courage, Ron's the loyalty, and maybe the strategy.
Like the chess game later?
Exactly. And Hermione provides the knowledge, the logic. They sort of complete each other.
They really do. But then you get the flip side, the antagonists.
Draco Malfoy, dripping with arrogance and that pure-blood snobbery. You know instantly he's trouble and heading straight for Slytherin.
He shows Harry the social divisions, but the immediate constant threat, that's Professor Snape.
Oh, Snape. The hatred is instant. It's not just being a strict teacher. It feels personal right from the first potions lesson.
Totally personal, asking him questions first years couldn't possibly know, like about Asphodel and Wormwood. It's designed purely to humiliate him.
It makes you wonder why. What's the history there? It's a huge hook.
And it's crucial for the book's main misdirection, because Rowling really leans into making you suspect Snape.
Definitely. But before we get to that payoff, there's the central mystery itself.
The forbidden third-floor corridor. Dumbledore literally says, go there and you'll die a very painful death.
Which is basically an engraved invitation to 3 curious kids.
Of course. And they find Fluffy, the 3-headed dog, guarding a trapdoor.
And they quickly link it back to Gringotts, that Vault Hagrid emptied, Vault 713, right before someone tried to break in.
That grubby little package? The connection clicks.
But they don't know what it is.
Not until Hagrid lets slip the name, Nicholas Flamel.
Ah, the accidental clue, which sends Hermione dragging them to the library for ages, shows her value again.
Months of research. It's not instant gratification. They have to work for it.
Okay, so let's pause here. We're about to get into the thick of the plot's resolution and the big themes. So fair warning, spoilers ahead if you somehow haven't read the first book yet. Go read it.
Right, because this is where all those threads start coming together. And it's not just about finding the stone. There are deeper challenges,
Yeah.
like the Mirror of Arise.
Oh, that scene. Harry finds this mirror, looks in and sees his parents, his whole family.
Yeah, standing behind him, smiling. It's just pure longing for what he lost. Really powerful moment.
Gut-wrenching is the word. And then Dumbledore finds him there.
And explains it perfectly. The mirror shows nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts.
And you see the contrast. Harry wants his family back to the past. Ron, when he looks, sees himself as head boy, finally outshining his brother as a future achievement.
Different desires, but both show something missing. And Dumbledore gives that crucial piece of wisdom.
It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. That line echoes through the whole series, really. It forces Harry to deal with the present.
And the present danger, as far as Harry, Ron, and Hermione believe, is Snape.
Absolutely. Everything points to him. He seemed to be cursing Harry's broomstick during the Quidditch match.
Harry sees Snape's mangled leg after the Fluffy encounter.
Here's him threatening Professor Quirrell in the forest. It all builds a case.
Rowling piles on the evidence against Snape. It's very deliberate.
So when the reveal comes that Snape wasn't the villain trying to get the stone, that he was actually trying to save Harry during that Quidditch match with a counter curse.
Well, Quirrell was the one doing the jinxing.
Yeah. It's a huge twist.
Yeah.
But is it fair? Does it feel like Rowling kind of cheated by making us hate him so much?
That's a good question, I think. I think it teaches you, the reader, a vital lesson about this world. Don't trust appearances. Motives are hidden. Snape genuinely despised Harry's father, James. That part's true. But even deep dislike doesn't automatically mean he wants Harry dead. It makes the world more complex. The real danger was the one who seemed weak and stuttering.
Professor Quirrell, who admits everything in the climax, letting the troll in on Halloween as a diversion.
Trying to kill Harry multiple times, and then the final, horrifying reveal.
Yeah, the turban comes off and...
Voldemort, living on the back of Quirrell's head, like a parasite.
Ugh, it's so creepy.
And weak. He needs Quirrell's body. He needs unicorn blood, which, Ferenz the Sendo warned, gives only a cursed half-life just to survive. It shows how diminished he is.
But he still wants the stone. And Dumbledore anticipated this. That's where the mirror comes back in.
Dumbledore's masterstroke. He enchanted the mirror so that only someone who wanted to find the stone but not use it could get it.
So someone pure of heart, essentially.
Right. Harry just wants to stop Voldemort getting it. He doesn't want immortality or gold for himself. And because his desire is pure, the stone just appears in his pocket.
Brilliant. It bypasses greed.
But even then, Quirrell attacks. And we get the ultimate protection.
It's not a spell, is it?
No, it's love. Harry's mother's sacrifice left this deep magic in his skin. Voldemort, through Quirrell, physically cannot touch him.
It burns him, causes actual pain, blisters. Love as a literal shield.
That's the core message, I think. Harry's greatest power isn't fame or skill, it's the love that protects him. That's why he survives.
He wakes up 3 days later in the hospital wing. Dumbledore's there, explains they'll destroy the stone now.
The danger is over for now, which leads us to the end-of-year feast.
And Slytherin thinks they've won the House Cup again. The Great Hall is all green and silver.
For the 7th year running. But Dumbledore has other plans.
The last-minute points. 50 for Ron's chess game brilliant strategy.
50 for Hermione cool logic under pressure with the devil's snare.
60 for Harry pure nerve and facing Voldemort.
Which ties the scores. Gryffindor and Slytherin equal.
But then,
The clincher.
10 points to Neville Longbottom.
Why Neville? For standing up to his friends. For having the courage to try and stop Harry, Ron, and Hermione when he thought they were breaking rules again.
It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends.
Exactly. And that's what tips it. Gryffindor wins. The banners change to scarlet and gold. It's a huge moment.
And it says something important, doesn't it? That moral courage, standing up for what's right, even when it's hard or unpopular, is just as valuable, maybe more so than fighting monsters.
Definitely. It broadens the definition of bravery.
So, wrapping it all up,
Mm.
what's the big takeaway from this first book?
Mm.
For me, it sets up Harry's journey as being less about his magical talent and more about love, friendship, sacrifice. Those are the forces that actually win the day.
Yeah, the trio succeeding together against the troll, Harry surviving Voldemort because of his mother. It all points to connection and love as the most powerful magic.
Which brings us back to Dumbledore, the grand orchestrator of so much of this.
Always pulling strings, it seems.
Remember when Harry asked him what he saw in the mirror of Erased?
Huh. Yes, he claimed he saw himself holding a pair of thick woolen socks.
So people always give him books for Christmas. Socks would be useful.
Mm.
But knowing Dumbledore, how much he knew, how powerful he was he telling the truth? Was his deepest, most desperate desire really just socks?
Or is that just another wise, perhaps slightly manipulative lesson? A simple, harmless answer to gently push Harry away from dwelling on the mirror, reinforcing that forget dreams and live message, maybe guarding his own, much deeper desires.
That's the perfect question to end on. What did Dumbledore really want? It tells you everything about his complexity right through.
It really does. A masterfully constructed beginning.
Indeed.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
That's right. And we're not just, recapping the story.
No, definitely not. We want to really dig into what makes this book tick, the themes, the characters, how the world gets bigger and maybe a bit darker.
Exactly. Looking at things like prejudice, what reputation really means in the wizarding world, and identity. It's all packed in there. This is for you if you want to go beyond just the adventure story.
And the main thread pulling us through is that creepy message, right? The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware. Chillin' stuff.
It is, but it kicks off with such a brilliant contrast. Harry's life at Privet Drive versus the wizarding world.
Oh, absolutely. The suffocation of the Dursleys' house, Uncle Vernon literally screaming about the M word.
And padlocking Hedwig's cage. It's pure denial and fear.
Then you flip to the Weasleys at the Burrow. It's chaotic, yeah, but warm and welcoming, a totally different vibe.
And that moment with Dudley falling off his chair.
Huh. Yes. Just because Harry says the word magic, it shows you just how terrified the Dursleys are.
But even before the Weasleys physically bust him out, Dobby shows up.
Ah, Dobby. The start of so much trouble for Harry, even though he means well.
He does. And his attempt to save Harry immediately brings in the Ministry. That hover charm incident.
Leads straight to that warning letter, the improper use of magic office, citing the Decree for the Reasonable Restriction of Underage Sorcery, 1875.
Right. And it's interesting, isn't it? It immediately shows the wizarding world isn't just pure freedom. It has its own strict rules, its own bureaucracy.
Kind of oppressive in its own way, almost like Privet Drive sometimes.
That's a great point. It's not just Muggle world versus magical world. There's tension within the magical world about control and freedom.
And Mr. Weasley's job ties into that, doesn't it?
It really does. His fascination with Muggles.
In the misuse of Muggle artifacts office, it sounds almost contradictory.
Oh, yeah. He's personally curious, right? He wants to know how escalators work.
Escalators, yeah.
Right. But his job is about policing magic, interacting with the Muggle world, stopping things like, that berserk tea set.
So it's institutional fear versus his personal curiosity.
Exactly. And that fear, that need to control what's different or unknown, that's the same root as the pureblood prejudice we see later.
Which brings us neatly to Nocturne Alley. Harry's trip with the flu powder goes wrong.
And lands him right where he overhears Lucius Malfoy.
At Borgin and Burke's, selling off dark arts items.
And what Lucius says there is just. It lays out the whole pure blood ideology. He's complaining that wizard blood is counting for less everywhere.
It's not just simple snobbery, is it? It sounds almost political, like he feels his side is losing ground.
It is political. He feels threatened by the inclusivity people like Dumbledore represent. And he directly criticizes Hermione for being Muggle-born, yet outperforming Draco.
Okay, so that sets the stage for prejudice. But the other big theme this year is reputation, and that really comes through with the new characters.
Oh, definitely. And who better to start with than Gilderoy Lockhart?
The Gilderoy Lockhart, 5-time winner of Witch Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award.
And author of all those dramatic books, Voyages with Vampires, Travels with Trolls.
All based on, well, nothing he actually did. He's the ultimate fraud.
Absolutely. He embodies that superficiality of fame. A good smile and good PR can get you pretty far, it seems.
We see his incompetence almost immediately, don't we? The Cornish pixies incident.
Oh yeah, shouting, "Pesca pixie pester no me," which does absolutely nothing.
And then he just dives under the desk.
It's hilarious, but also quite telling. It perfectly sets up the later reveal.
That he didn't do any of those things he wrote about.
Not a single one. He admits that later he found the people who actually did the deeds, put memory charms on them, and stole their stories.
He even mentions finding some ugly old Armenian warlock and deciding nobody would want to read about him. It's just, wow.
He literally steals identities because he thinks he looks better for the story. It's about image over substance, completely.
And that theme of false identity, or maybe stolen identity, connects right back to the prejudice plotline.
It does. The prejudice really boils over during that Quidditch practice.
Malfoy. He uses that slur against Hermione.
Mudblood. It's vicious.
And Ron's reaction, trying to crease Malfoy.
But his wand is broken, remember, from the crash into the Whomping Willow earlier.
Right, so it backfires. Horribly.
He ends up vomiting slugs. The slug vomiting curse hits him instead.
It's sort of darkly ironic. He tries to defend Hermione against a slur about blood purity using magic, but his own faulty magic humiliates him. Shows his insecurity, too, maybe.
Definitely. And then soon after, the attacks begin for real.
Mrs. Norris, Filch's cat, found petrified.
Next to that message written in, well, what looks like blood, the Chamber of Secrets has been opened.
Suddenly, Filch isn't just the grumpy caretaker. You see how much he loved that cat. He's genuinely devastated.
And that leads Harry and Ron to snoop in his office.
Where they find that quick spell envelope.
The correspondence course in beginner's magic.
Yeah.
A huge secret.
Revealing Filch is a squib, born to a magical family but with no magic himself.
And suddenly, you understand his bitterness, why he hates the students and their magic so much. He's excluded from the very world he lives in.
It adds this unexpected layer of sadness to his character. He's kind of trapped.
Yeah, that sense of being trapped, of hidden identities and shame. It leads us right into the core mystery.
Okay, so from here on out, we're definitely getting into spoiler territory. If you haven't finished Chamber of Secrets, you might want to pause here.
Right. Big spoilers ahead.
So the attacks continue. More students are petrified. And Hermione, even after she's attacked.
She figures it out. She confirms the legend about Salazar Slytherin creating the chamber to house a monster.
To purge the school of Muggleborns, those he considered unworthy.
And she leaves that crucial clue ripped from a book page in her petrified hand.
About the basilisk. And how looking at it directly kills, but indirectly. Like through a reflection or a camera.
Petrifies. And she guesses it's moving through the pipes.
Which leads Harry back to Moaning Myrtle's bathroom where the first victim died 50 years ago.
And that's where he finds the diary. T.M. Riddle's diary.
Just a plain, shabby, black diary. But when he writes it...
He writes back. It pulls him into a memory.
Yeah, it's more than just a diary. It feels like it's alive almost. Feeding off him.
Definitely feeding off something. And the memory it shows him is 50 years ago. Tom Riddle accusing Hagrid.
Accusing Hagrid of opening the chamber and setting his creature Aragog on students.
Which got Hagrid expelled. It's a calculated manipulation, making Harry doubt Hagrid, this really gentle figure.
Even though Harry instinctively feels Riddle is the one who's lying.
Right. So, fast forward to the climax. Ginny Weasley is taken.
Her skeleton will lie in the chamber forever. That message appears. It's terrifying.
Harry and Ron know they have to act. They grab Lockhart.
Who promptly tries to wipe their memories. He confesses everything. The fraud, the memory charms.
But Ron's broken wand strikes again. The charm backfires onto Lockhart himself.
Wiping his own memory clean. Poetic justice, really.
Completely. So Harry and Ron force him down towards Myrtle's bathroom. Harry speaks Parseltongue to the tap.
It's a snake engraving. And it opens the entrance.
Down in the chamber, Harry finally confronts the memory figure of Tom Riddle.
Who reveals himself? Tom Marvolo Riddle.
Rearranges to form, I am Lord Voldemort. Mind-blown moment for first-time readers.
Absolutely. And then the truth about Ginny comes out.
It's heartbreaking. Riddle explains how Ginny poured her heart out into the diary.
All her worries, her insecurities, feeling overlooked, having a crush on Harry.
And Riddle fed on that. He used her vulnerability to possess her, to control her, making her open the chamber and set the basilisk on students.
She was completely exploited. It's incredibly dark when you think about it.
It really is. Then Riddle summons the basilisk. Things look bleak.
But then Fawkes arrives, Dumbledore's phoenix.
Fresh from a burning day, no less. Spectacular timing.
And he brings the sorting hat.
from which Harry pulls Gryffindor's sword
An amazing moment. He fights the basilisk, blinds it thanks to Fawkes,
and eventually kills it, stabbing it through the roof of its mouth with the sword.
but not before getting bitten by one of its fangs. He thinks he's dying.
But he grabs the fang, the
Ew.
thing that's poisoning him,
And stabs the diary with it.
destroying Riddle's memory form in this sort of ink explosion.
Then Fawkes cries on his wound, healing him. Phoenix tears have healing powers.
That all comes down to loyalty and choice in the end, doesn't it? Dumbledore explains later.
That Harry's loyalty to Dumbledore is what called Fawkes to him.
And that's why he, a Gryffindor, could pull Gryffindor's sword from the hat. It affirms his place.
And Dumbledore tackles that big fear. Harry has his similarity to Voldemort, being a parcel mouth.
Dumbledore explains Voldemort transferred some powers the night he gave Harry the scar. That's the Parseltongue connection.
But then he delivers that iconic line.
It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are far more than our abilities.
Such a powerful message. Your identity isn't just your heritage or your talents, it's what you choose to do.
Exactly. It undercuts Voldemort's whole obsession with bloodlines and destiny.
And then there's the final bit of justice with Dobby.
Oh, yes. Harry tricks Lucius Malfoy using the diary.
Slipping a sock inside it before handing it back, Lucius disgustedly throws it aside.
And Dobby catches it. Clothes presented by a master means freedom for a house elf.
Brilliant move. It frees Dobby and exposes Lucius for planting the diary in Ginny's cauldron in the first place.
Gets him sacked as a school governor, too. Serves him right.
And Lockhart, his backfired memory charm, leaves him with permanent amnesia. He's off to St. Mungo's. No more fraudulent teaching.
So wrapping it all up, this deep dive really shows how Chamber of Secrets tackles that pure blood prejudice head-on.
Yeah, the ideology of Slytherin and Malfoy. It isn't beaten by just being magically stronger.
No, it's beaten by friendship, loyalty, Fawkes showing up, and Harry making the right choices, even when he's scared about who he might be.
It's about character over innate ability or blood status.
Definitely. And the book ends with Harry heading back to the Dursleys.
Knowing they won't be proud he survived. They'll be, as he puts it, furious he didn't manage to die.
Which leaves us with a final thought, connecting back to Mr. Weasley and Mr. Dursley. You have Arthur Weasley, fascinated by muggles, genuinely curious.
Yeah, wanting to understand plugs and escalators.
Right. Contrast that with Vernon Dursley's absolute terror and hatred of anything magical, screaming about the M word.
So here's the question for you to think about. What's the fundamental difference driving them? Arthur's curiosity versus Vernon's fear. Is Vernon's fear just? Another version of the same prejudice Slytherin had, just directed differently.
Something to chew on. Fear of the unknown takes many forms, doesn't it? This is the point where the story just pivots completely. It moves away from, the lighter, sometimes chaotic magic of the earlier years.
Right, like charming keys or rogue bludgers.
Precisely. And it shifts into this feeling of genuine dread, real high-stakes danger. So we're essentially giving you a shortcut to understanding the thematic core of Harry's third year and digging into why this shift actually happens.
And that tonal shift, it begins almost immediately. Not with some grand prophecy, but with, honestly, one of the most reckless bits of underage magic we see early on, the accidental inflation of Aunt Marge.
Oh, absolutely. And it wasn't like a contained spell or anything, was it? It was this explosion of, righteous anger, really, after putting up with the Dursleys and their just unbelievably medieval attitude towards him and magic.
Yeah, Marge goes from being just awful to becoming this monstrous balloon.
That visual, the sources describe her fingers blowing up like salami. It does two things straight away, I think. First, it shows Harry's power is getting dangerously unstable when he loses control.
Definitely.
And second, it shows how easily, almost comically, the rules of the Muggle world can just be broken by magic.
And escaping that absolute chaos leads him straight to, possibly, the best piece of emergency transport ever imagined, the night bus.
Yes. Loud, purple, triple-decker just appears out of thin air.
It's brilliant.
It really is the ultimate magical safety net, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the sources make a point of how it just bypasses Muggle reality. Stan Shumpike, the conductor, he says Muggles don't listen properly, do they? Don't look properly either. Which kind of reinforces this narrative idea that magic always has this immediate, maybe chaotic, but definitely functional escape hatch, even when the hero is totally desperate.
So Harry lands safely at the leaky cauldron, and then he gets this really weird, wonderful little period of freedom in Diagon Alley.
It's strange, isn't it? He's alone, but completely immersed in the magical world.
And it's full of temptation, like the firebolt racing broom, which looks amazing, and also some properly unruly magic, like his new textbook for care of magical creatures, The Monster Book of Monsters.
Oh, I love that book. The description of it scuttling sideways like some weird crab
Yeah.
and literally fighting other books on the shelf.
It needs stroking to calm down.
Exactly. Structurally, that monster book, I think, is the first little signal that the magic being taught inside Hogwarts is starting to mirror the growing chaos outside the castle walls.
Mhm.
Everything feels a bit more aggressive, less contained.
Definitely less predictable. And that slight edge, that unruly feeling, is kind of the perfect setup for the real fear that quickly starts to creep in. Because just outside that comfortable Diagon Alley bubble, the central antagonist for the year is waiting, the mass murderer, Sirius Black.
Yeah, Black is introduced as just pure nightmare fuel, isn't he? The first person ever to escape from the high-security wizard prison Azkaban.
And the sources really hammer home his supposed madness. They describe him murdering 13 people, one wizard, a dozen muggles, with just one curse.
And the detail about him standing there and laughing as he was captured, that laughter is so key. It completely cements him in everyone's mind as, irredeemably psychotic.
The fact that he escaped Azkaban immediately forces the story to introduce its guards, the Dementors, which are, they're terrifying.
They really are cloaked, sort of gliding figures that embody despair. And the Dementors are such clever writing, I think, because they aren't physically scary like, say, a dragon. They're psychological. They literally drain peace, hope, and happiness out of the air.
Leaving people hollowed out, soulless even.
Right. And crucially, the text mentions that even muggles can feel their presence, that chill in the air. This makes the threat feel much more fundamental, much more universal, because it operates on basic human emotion.
But they affect Harry in this uniquely awful way. He passes out. He relives the absolute worst moment of his life, hearing his mother's dying screams.
Not Harry, please not Harry. It's brutal.
It is. And the narrative could easily have framed this as him being weak, couldn't it? But Professor Lupin, the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, he immediately shuts that idea down.
And Lupin's insight here is actually a huge thematic moment for the whole series, really. He tells Harry the Dementors affect him more, not because he's weak, but, and this is the quote, because there are horrors in your past that the others don't have. So your past suffering is what makes you vulnerable, yes, but that suffering is also proof of deep loss, and by extension, deep love.
That's such a powerful reframing, isn't it? It takes trauma and suggests it's actually a measure of how much you've loved and been connected to others, rather than some kind of personal failing.
Exactly, and Lupin himself is immediately likable, despite his, shabby robes and worn-out look. We see him being genuinely effective as a teacher straight away.
Totally practical, confidence boosting.
And giving out chocolate after Dementor encounters. The perfect remedy.
The best remedy.
Yeah.
The contrast with Professor Snape, though, couldn't be more obvious.
Absolutely. Snape hates Lupin. He wanted that Defense Against the Dark Arts job himself, and you can just feel the resentment pouring off him.
He spends the whole year basically running this quiet campaign against him, doesn't he? Bullying students like Neville.
And setting that deliberately difficult homework about werewolves, clearly trying to expose Lupin's secret. It's pure malice.
That pervasive sense of dread, it even weaves its way into the school subjects, especially divination class. Professor Trelawney, in her very dramatic way.
She immediately sees an omen of death in Harry's tea leaves. The Grim.
A giant spectral dog that haunts churchyards. Classic omen.
And it's brilliant foreshadowing because Harry already saw something similar, didn't he? That hulking outline of a big black dog back in the Muggle world the night he ran away from the Dursleys.
That's right.
The sources explicitly connect those two images. It suggests that fate, or at least some dark destiny, has been sort of stalking him long before he even got back to Hogwarts.
This rising tension. Plus, you've got Malfoy constantly trying to wind Harry up.
Oh, Malfoy's loving it.
Yeah.
Mocking Harry for fainting near the Dementors.
Suggesting he should hunt Black down for revenge.
And then trying to sabotage the Quidditch match by dressing up as a Dementor with his cronies.
Yeah, which backfires spectacularly. All this pushes the story towards this critical point, and that's when we get maybe the most important magical object introduced in this section. The Marauder's Map.
Ah, the map. Gifted by Fred and George Weasley. It shows every secret passage, everyone inside Hogwarts Castle, labeled with these mysterious names. Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs.
It's literally a roadmap to the truth they end up needing, isn't it? Although, you remember Mr. Weasley's earlier warning.
Never trust anything that can think for itself if you can't see where it keeps its brain,
Mm.
which is interesting considering the map.
Very interesting. Okay, so the tension keeps building until we reach this crisis point where everything everyone thinks they know is about to be completely turned upside down.
Right.
We really need to talk about the structural genius of how the real betrayal was hidden.
Right, so this is where we really get into the deep dive analysis of the sources. We've set the stage, you've got the key players and the rising tension. Now we get into the hidden truths that rewrite everything. Just a heads up for listeners, we are heading into major spoiler territory now if you haven't experienced this part of the story.
Okay, spoiler warning firmly in place. The first massive bombshell drops when Harry overhears a conversation in the Three Broomsticks pub in Hogsmeade.
It comes out that Sirius Black wasn't just some random Voldemort supporter. He was apparently James and Lily Potter's secret keeper. Which means, according to this information, he was the only one who could have directly betrayed their location to Voldemort. It makes his supposed crime so much more personal, so much more agonizing for Harry.
Absolutely. And that belief, that perceived betrayal, fuels Harry's desire for revenge, leading eventually to that big confrontation in the Shrieking Shack.
But the real villain, the actual truth, can only come out once all the key pieces are finally in the same room. Lupin, Black, and, well, the missing link.
And it's Hermione, naturally, who starts putting it together. She connects Snape's very specific, difficult homework assignment with Lupin's regular absences.
Right around the full moon.
Exactly. And she reveals Professor Lupin's secret. He's a werewolf.
Which explains so much about his shabby appearance, his exhaustion at times, and Snape's particular brand of animosity.
But the truly mind-blowing twist, the one nobody sees coming, involves Ron Weasley's incredibly ordinary, kind of useless pet rat, Scabbers.
Scabbers, who's been in the Weasley family for, what, 12 years?
Yes. And it turns out Scabbers isn't a rat at all. He's Peter Pettigrew. He's Wormtail, one of the names on the Marauders map.
This is the moment the whole narrative flips. Pettigrew was the actual secret keeper for the Potters. He was the one who betrayed them.
And then he faked his own death, didn't he? Cut off his own finger, caused a massive explosion that killed 12 muggles, making it look like Sirius Black did it and cornered him.
Perfectly framing Black, who was actually his friend trying to hunt him down for the betrayal. And then Pettigrew transforms into a rat and just disappears. Hides for 12 years as a wizarding family's pet.
Let's just pause on that contrast for a second. You have Sirius Black, accused mass murderer, locked away for 12 years in Azkaban, that soul-destroying fortress.
And the sources explain how he survived it. He stayed sane by clinging obsessively to one single thought: his innocence, the knowledge that he didn't do it, and the need for revenge against Pettigrew.
It's an incredible psychological point the narrative makes. That knowledge, that absolute certainty of his own truth, was the one thing the Dementors couldn't feed on, couldn't drain from him.
Right, and that obsession apparently allowed him to perform the Animix transformation into his dog form Padfoot, which the Dementors, being blind, couldn't really sense in the same way. That's how he slipped past them.
So knowledge as a shield against despair. On the flip side, you have Peter Pettigrew.
Motivated by pure cowardice and self-preservation.
And he spends those same 12 years living in relative comfort, hiding in plain sight as a beloved family pet. The ultimate betrayal wasn't just the act itself, but the 12 years of cowardly, mundane deception afterwards.
Pettigrew as Scabbers is the absolute definition of hiding in plain sight, isn't it? He was literally being sheltered by the family of one of the friends he betrayed. It shows how the greatest threats can sometimes be the ones that seem utterly harmless, the ones you trust implicitly.
So the urgency shifts instantly. It's not about vengeance on Black anymore. It's about getting justice for Black and exposing Pettigrew, which leads to the reveal of Hermione's big secret.
The Time Turner, which Professor McGonagall gave her so she could attend all her extra classes.
Yeah.
A closely guarded secret all year.
And Dumbledore tells them to use it. Not just to save Sirius from the Dementor's kiss, but his exact words are, save more than one innocent life.
The Time Turner here, it's not just a cool gadget. It becomes this necessary tool for navigating really complex moral choices and, well, correcting injustices within the constraints of time.
They have to go back 3 hours and pull off this really precise double rescue mission.
First, they save Buckbeak, the hippogriff, who was about to be executed by McNair, the Ministry executioner, for injuring Malfoy earlier.
Right. Then they use Buckbeak to fly up to the tower where Sirius is being held and rescue him just before the Dementors arrive.
The beauty of it is the executioner and the Minister of Magic fudge. They just assume Buckbeak somehow escaped on his own.
Yeah.
So the timeline is preserved, more or less, but justice is still served for Buckbeak and Sirius. It's a clever resolution.
It is, but the resolution still isn't neat, is it? It's quite messy, actually.
No, it's very complicated. While Sirius is free, he's still a wanted fugitive because Pettigrew escapes again. He gets away during the chaos of Lupin, transforming into a werewolf when the full moon unexpectedly comes out from behind the clouds.
So without Pettigrew, they can't prove Black's innocence to the Ministry.
Exactly. And Dumbledore has that line reflecting on it all, saying something like, the consequences of our actions are always so complicated, so diverse, that predicting the future is a ridiculous business.
Which really highlights that core theme, doesn't it? Good intentions, messy outcomes. And there's another immediate tragic consequence that stems purely from prejudice.
Yeah, Snape. In one final act of pure spite stemming from his old school grudges against Lupin and Black.
He accidentally lets it slip at the breakfast table the next morning that Professor Lupin is a werewolf. In front of everyone, including Slytherin students he knows will spread it.
It's such a nasty move.
Yeah.
And that public exposure, driven purely by malice, forces Lupin to resign immediately. He knows parents will complain, and he decides to leave before it becomes an issue.
So the students lose the best defense against the dark arts teacher they've ever had, purely because of fear and prejudice against werewolves. It's a really sad, unfair outcome.
It truly is. But the deep dive does conclude on a note of hope and I think genuine love, actually.
Yeah, yes. The final gift Harry receives before he has to go back to the Dursleys for the summer. The Firebolt, the state-of-the-art racing broom.
Sent by Sirius. And the note says it's basically 13 birthdays worth of presents from your godfather, delivered by this tiny, hyperactive owl that's way too small for the package.
It's such a wonderful gesture. It's this clear signal that Sirius, the man who was hunted and betrayed, is now stepping into that role of family, of protector for Harry.
So looking back across this whole deep dive, the narrative really did an expert job of manipulating what everyone thought was the truth, mostly through fear and, frankly, biased reporting within the wizarding world.
Yeah, the Daily Prophet wasn't exactly objective, was it?
Not at all. And the real villain was the one nobody paid any attention to, the harmless pet, while the supposed killer was actually the victim, framed for crimes he didn't commit.
The power of this kind of deep dive, I think, is seeing just how much the sources focus on that gap between public perception and the hidden reality.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's the key takeaway for you, the listener. How easily accepted truth can hide the real story. The sources showed us that Sirius Black survived Azkaban, that place of utter despair, because he held on to the knowledge of his own innocence.
That internal truth acted as a shield.
Exactly. So if knowledge, even a painful truth, one that maybe you can't even prove to anyone else, something deeply personal, if that can fight off the kind of soul-crushing despair the Dementors represent, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What unseen truth might you be clinging to right now, maybe without even realizing it, that's protecting you from your own forms of despair? Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Yeah, this is where things get serious. It really shifts from, school adventures to something much bigger, much darker. A real political thriller element comes in.
Absolutely. It's the turning point, no question.
So our mission here isn't just a plot recap.
Right.
We want to map the narrative structure, show you how these local mysteries blow up into this huge international crisis and, an explosive magical finale.
Right.
And just a heads up for everyone listening, massive spoiler warning. If you haven't engaged with this source material, we are going deep into the plot mechanics.
Okay, let's dive in. The sources couldn't be clearer. This is the dividing line in the whole narrative arc. The scale it skyrockets.
Yeah.
We're leaving behind the sort of contained school threats.
Yeah.
Now it's organized terror, the Death Eaters and their leader fully back in power. It stops being just a British issue. Suddenly it's global. And the way it opens is just brilliant, really. It starts so far from Hogwarts, grounding the unnatural right in the mundane world with that Riddle House murder. The gardener, Frank Bryce. Tell us about those forensic details, the ones that scream, this isn't normal.
Well, that's the immediate hook, isn't it? Pure dark magic from page 1. The police report, it's baffled. The victims, the riddles, they're physically perfect, untouched.
Right.
Except they're dead. And their faces are just frozen in, absolute terror. It wasn't poison, it wasn't a weapon. It was fear itself that killed them.
Wow.
And then Frank Bryce, this old WWI vet, he overhears them in the dark Riddle House. He hears that cold, high voice, Voldemort, planning Harry Potter's murder with Wormtail. It confirms it right away. The wizarding world's bleeding into the Muggle world. Chapter 1 stuff.
So that subtle infiltration, that initial creepiness, it's immediately contrasted with this huge, spectacular event.
The Quidditch World Cup?
Yeah, talk about scale. It's exactly. Ireland versus Bulgaria. Thousands of wizards. The chaos trying to keep it hidden from muggles. The ministry frantically using memory charms, obliviate.
Right.
Everywhere. It's a logistical nightmare.
And that spectacle, Ireland winning even though Crumb gets the snitch, it serves a crucial purpose. It gathers everyone together.
Making them a target.
Precisely. It creates this illusion of global wizarding unity, which is just about to be completely shattered.
Okay, and this is where it ramps up right after the match. The dark mark, the skull, and snake. Moore's Mordry appears in the sky over the campsite.
Yeah, that green glittering sign. It's not just a threat, it's history. It's trauma.
The reaction is instant panic. Even the Death Eaters who conjured it get spooked and scatter. It shows this isn't just mischief, it's the return of genuine terror.
And that panic, it highlights the tonal shift perfectly. The wizarding world isn't just facing trouble, they're reliving a nightmare. A period of, frankly, genocide they thought was history.
And then this global stage, this sense of rising threat, it walks right into Hogwarts with the Triwizard Tournament. High stakes, glory, cash 1,000 galleons, but it's forbidden for anyone under 17. Huge risk.
The way the other schools arrive really emphasizes this. Beauxbatons in that enormous powder blue carriage pulled by flying horses.
Yeah, quite the entrance.
And Durmstrang,
Yeah.
their ship literally rising out of the lake, looking like a skeleton. It's visually showing you the world is coming to Hogwarts, and it's bringing danger with it. This isn't just a local school competition anymore.
And watching over all this potential chaos. The new defense against the dark arts teacher, Alastair, mad-eye, moody, paranoid, battle-scarred.
Constant vigilance.
Exactly. And given what we know happens, he's not wrong to be paranoid, is he?
Not at all.
So the themes start hitting hard almost immediately with Harry getting into the tournament. He's underage, it seems impossible, and instantly there's suspicion. Conflict within the school, within his own friendships.
Right. Ron's reaction is key. That odd, strained sort of grin, the disbelief turning into outright jealousy. But it's deeper than just teenage drama.
Just so.
It digs into systemic stuff, economics mainly. Ron's always felt the weight of his family's poverty, and it hits boiling point here. Think about the dress robes scene.
Oh, the maroon velvet with lace?
Exactly. Compared to Harry, who has this inheritance, it's a visual representation of that gap. And it creates the first real crack in their friendship, showing how things like poverty can isolate someone, something the real villain uses.
That's a great point. And while Ron's dealing with economic insecurity, the story broadens that theme to, well, actual enslavement almost, with the House Elves. Hermione's SPEW campaign kicks off here.
It forces you to confront prejudice, doesn't it? We meet Winky, Barty Crouch Sr.'s elf. She's found holding Harry's wand right after the Dark Mark incident.
And despite being completely loyal, Crouch just sacks her, instantly.
Sacked because she didn't follow in order to stay put, even though she was clearly terrified and confused. The injustice is just blatant. It throws down that moral challenge. Look at how people treat those they see as beneath them. That tells you who they really are.
And that connects perfectly to the political mess brewing within the ministry itself. You've got Barty Crouch Sr., incredibly rigid, obsessed with rules, but clearly hiding something.
Deeply troubled, yeah.
Versus Ludo Bagman, head of magical games and sports. Seems cheerful, maybe a bit irresponsible, but he's got gambling debts. Remember the twins losing their leprechaun gold winning stem?
Right. Bagman's basically dodging magical loan sharks. It shows the ministry leadership isn't exactly pristine. It's riddled with personal failings and secrets right at the top.
We also see vulnerability through Hagrid, another character on the margins. Rita Skeeter outs his half-giant heritage in the Daily Prophet.
Viciously.
And he just retreats, hides away in shame and grief. It reinforces that theme again. Prejudice exists. It's used as a weapon by the media, even in this magical world that's supposed to be, well, magical.
It shows how easily people on the fringes can be hurt and pushed aside.
Okay, let's get into the spoiler zone proper. The Triwizard Tournament itself. The sources make it pretty clear it wasn't a fair contest at all, was it?
Not even close. It was a setup. A long, elaborate trap designed specifically for Harry.
Those 3 tasks weren't random challenges. They were guided lessons, almost. The fake Moody was basically coaching Harry the whole time.
Absolutely. Look at the first task, the dragons. Moody subtly guides Hagrid into showing Harry the dragons beforehand.
So Harry knows what's coming.
Exactly. Which leads him to figure out he needs the summoning charm, Accio, for his firebolt. Moody didn't give him the answer, but he gave him the essential intel to survive, not necessarily to win fairly.
Then the second task, the lake, retrieving hostages from the mer people. Harry gets help deciphering the golden egg clue from Moaning Myrtle. But the crucial bit here is Harry's choice, right?
Yes, this is pure character reveal. He's supposed to rescue Ron, but he sees Fleur Delacour apparently struggling, so he doesn't just rescue Ron, he rescues her sister, Gabrielle, too, even though it costs him time.
He puts doing the right thing above winning.
Precisely. His moral compass overrides the competitive drive, which, ironically, earns him points for moral fiber and puts him in first place anyway, tied with Cedric.
So the third task, the maze, filled with obstacles, blast-ended scroots, a sphinx with a riddle.
Answer.
Spider.
Right, and a giant spider. Classic. But the real climax of the task is emotional, isn't it? Harry and Cedric reaching the cup together.
And deciding to take it simultaneously. A moment of sportsmanship, of fairness.
Which is immediately brutally undercut. The cup's a portkey. It whisks them away, not to glory, but to a graveyard.
And boom,
Yeah.
darkness hits. Instantly. Cedric Diggory.
He's just murdered.
Kill the spare. Chilling line.
Delivered by Wormtail. No fight, no warning. Just cold, efficient evil. And then the ritual. The sources spell it out. Bone of the father, flesh of the servant, blood of the enemy.
Voldemort is back. Properly, physically back.
Fully restored. And then the duel between him and Harry, that's when the Priori Incantatem happens.
Explain that again for listeners.
It's super rare. Happens when wands with cores, from the same creature in this case, feathers from the same phoenix, Dumbledore's fox, are forced to battle. One wand basically forces the other to regurgitate its most recent spells in reverse.
So echoes, ghosts almost, of Voldemort's victims appear.
Exactly. Cedric, Frank Bryce, Bertha Jorkins, even Harry's parents.
Well,
They appear as these spectral forms, creating a momentary distraction, a shield almost, allowing Harry to grab Cedric's body and escape back using the portkey.
just chaos, and then a reveal back at Hogwarts.
Right.
The whole thing was orchestrated by the person meant to be protecting them.
Mad-Eye Moody wasn't Moody at all. He was Barty Crouch Jr., Voldemort's loyal Death Eater. He put Harry's name in the goblet. He guided him through the tasks.
And the backstory we get through Dumbledore's pensive.
It's insane.
Crouch Jr. was sentenced to Azkaban by his own father, Barty Crouch Sr.,
The height of Ministry law and order.
but his dying mother swapped places with him. And Crouch Sr. kept his own son hidden, controlled under the Imperious Curse, an illegal, unforgivable curse, for years. The corruption starts right there, at the heart of the Ministry establishment.
And Crouch Jr. eventually broke free, overpowered his father, and killed him later when he tried to confess to Dumbledore.
The fallout is immediate and terrifyingly realistic. Cornelius Fudge, the Minister for Magic, just refuses to believe it.
Total denial. He chooses the easier path, calls Harry delusional, calls Dumbledore crazy. He even uses Rita Skeeter's tabloid articles as, evidence against Harry. It's pure political self-preservation. Catastrophic.
But Dumbledore acts instantly. He knows what's coming.
He does, and his first move shows the stakes. He forces Snape and Sirius, enemies who hate each other, to work together. Snape has to face the Death Eaters again. Sirius has to go rally the old allies. It shows that unity, even forced unity, is the only way forward against this kind of denial and threat. #tag outro.
Okay, wow. That's a lot to unpack. We've covered this massive world expansion, the deep cracks in friendships caused by things like poverty, the systemic political betrayal, a horrifying resurrection, and the flat-out murder of a student champion. So where does this leave us? What's the big takeaway from this source material shift?
Well, fundamentally, it plunges the series into dark political complexity. The story of Barty Crouch Sr. is central to this. Here's a man who embodied rules, order, political standing above everything, even his own family, his own son's potential innocence or redemption.
He was the ultimate ministry man.
Exactly, the pillar of the establishment. Yet he was engaged in this massive deception, hiding his Death Eater son with illegal magic. His downfall, being controlled and then killed by the secret he tried to bury, mirrors the wider rot in the ministry. It shows the system is brittle, self-serving, and ultimately incapable of policing itself effectively. The entire plot was run by his hidden son right under their noses.
Which leaves us with a pretty chilling final thought, doesn't it? Barty Crouch Sr., Mr. Law and Order, was maybe the most successful political liar in the story up to that point, hiding a Death Eater using dark magic for over a decade.
Yeah.
So if we zoom out, the question isn't just about Voldemort's return. It forces you, the listener, to ask,
Yeah.
how much of this system supposedly protecting the wizarding world was already compromised? How many other powerful figures might have secrets just as dark, secrets they're desperately trying to control? Is the whole structure fundamentally flawed? That level of potential chaos, personal and political, goes way beyond what anyone publicly understands at this point in the story. The fifth volume. The Ministry's denial, Harry's isolation, the rebellion that sparks up, and really get to the core insights.
Yeah, because it's more than just its page count, right? It's almost like a case study in how denial from the top, from institutions, just breeds chaos. It forces this underground
A
resistance.
shadow government, almost.
Exactly. The fight isn't just Voldemort coming back. It's fighting the government that's pretending he doesn't exist. It's really about information control, you know?
That's a great way to put it. So let's start there. Harry's summer, stuck at the Dursleys, completely cut off, no news, just simmering.
Awful isolation.
And then bam, the Dementor attack. Right there in Little Whinging, which is terrifying on its own, but what really struck me was the immediate political fallout.
Right, because he uses magic, the Patronus charm, to save himself and Dudley. And instantly, he's facing this, well, it's basically a political show trial.
Fudge, the Minister of Magic, jumps on it, tries to stack the deck, doesn't he? Moves the hearing, changes the time.
Oh, yeah, it's clearly not just about underage magic. It's a setup. They want to shut Harry down, discredit him legally.
And then Dumbledore arrives. But he's not defensive, he's cheerful.
Yeah.
Conjures that squashy armchair.
Such a power play. It's brilliant. And the whole case comes down to a technicality. Did he do magic in front of Dudley, a muggle? Fudge is desperate to make that stick.
But Amelia Bones, she kind of throws a wrench in that, doesn't she? Head of magical law enforcement.
Yes, she does. She's the voice of actual legal process in the room. Pretty impartial. She confirms he cast a corporeal Patronus, which she even notes is very impressive.
Right.
And she confirms the Dementors were there. So she backs up Harry's story, but strictly within the legal facts. She doesn't get into the why.
So technically, Harry's cleared.
Yeah.
Legally, he wins.
But politically, he loses big time. Fudge just spins it immediately. Tells everyone Harry and Dumbledore cooked up a nice little cover story. Cements the Ministry line. Voldemort is not back.
And that denial, that official line, it forces the good guys, the Order of the Phoenix, underground, deep underground.
Which takes us to maybe the most important place in the book, number 12, Grimmauld Place.
Oh, that house.
Yeah. If the Ministry is controlling the public narrative, the Resistance has to hide out in the Black family's ancestral home.
And it's just disgusting. Feels like the house itself is rotten, grimy, dark, full of creepy artifacts. Remember Tonks tripping over that troll's leg umbrella stand?
And setting off Walburga Black's portrait, screaming about filthy half-breeds and blood traders.
Chilling.
It's the perfect headquarters in a weird way. A necessary safe house built on this foundation of pure blood prejudice that Sirius hates so much.
Yeah, and we learned so much about Sirius there. His family history is literally on the wall, on that tapestry. He points out his brother, Regulus.
Right, the younger brother who joined the Death Eaters, but then apparently Voldemort murdered him. Adds another layer to Sirius's whole situation. He's trapped in this house he despises. You can feel his frustration building.
And the whole atmosphere there is just so tense. Harry's furious because Dumbledore is completely ignoring him, just leaving him there to stew.
Right, total silence from his mentor.
But the real emotional weight, I think, comes from Mrs. Weasley, her Bogart scene.
Oh, that's devastating. Her biggest fear isn't just Voldemort himself, it's losing her family. The Bogart showing her kids, Arthur, and then Harry, dead. It just hits you, the adult cost of this secret war. It puts Harry's teenage angst in perspective, you know. You see real parental terror.
And just as everyone's about to crack from the pressure inside Grimmauld Place, the Ministry throws its own grenade into Hogwarts. Dolores Umbridge.
Ugh, Umbridge. She's such a chillingly realistic villain. Soft authoritarianism just in pink.
She comes in as the defense against the dark arts teacher, but teaches nothing. No practical defense.
Because the Ministry is paranoid, Dumbledore will use the students as some kind of private army. It's absurd. But her power grab is, terrifyingly efficient. All those educational decrees.
She becomes High Inquisitor so fast.
Decree after decree. It's bureaucracy as a weapon. Educational decree number 25, giving her power to dock points, ban students from teams. Basically dismantle Dumbledore's authority bit by bit.
She rules by clipboard and memo. It's awful.
And she uses that power right away, firing Professor Trelawney.
Who points out she's been there nearly 16 years.
Right, and okay, maybe Trelawney wasn't the best teacher, but Umbridge firing her, that's purely political. It's about control, not education.
This whole ministry takeover, this denial, it really splits people. Look at Percy Weasley.
Old Percy, total betrayal, sides completely with the Ministry with Umbridge, writes that letter to Ron telling him to ditch Harry and Dumbledore, says his own father's obsessed with muggles.
Thinks Dumbledore's on his way out. He chooses careerism, institutional approval over his own family.
It's the price of buying into the official denial, but you know where you have that kind of oppression.
Resistance pops up.
Exactly. And you get the Weasley twins, Fred and George. Their resistance is pure chaos and, commerce.
Haha, yeah. All their market research for Weasley's wizard wheezes. Getting
Yeah.
dodgy ingredients like venomous tentacula seeds from Mundungus Fletcher for their skeeving snack boxes.
They just completely undermine Umbridge's authority with jokes and rule-breaking. And their exit from Hogwarts, summoning their brooms.
Accio brooms,
No.
straight down the corridor. Iconic. A huge public up yours to Umbridge and her decrees.
But the more organized the necessary resistance is Dumbledore's army, the DA.
Right, because Umbridge won't teach them defense. They have to do it themselves. Secretly.
And this is where Hermione shines strategically, using that super advanced NEWT level magic, the Protean charm, on the coins for communication.
The Enchanted Galleons is brilliant. The tool that keeps them secret is exactly the kind of practical magic Umbridge forbids.
And Harry has to step up. He becomes the teacher, the mentor, shows them how to do a proper Patronus, that stag.
So this whole secret group is basically a direct response to the Ministry trying to keep them ignorant and powerless.
Yeah. And while all this external stuff is happening, Harry's internal struggles just explode. That connection to Voldemort, it gets way stronger.
He's feeling Voldemort's moods, his anger, and then he starts having actual visions. Really disturbing ones.
There's a terrible vulnerability. And the Ministry and the Daily Prophet are just pouring fuel on the fire, aren't they? Calling Harry unstable a nutcase, saying Dumbledore's going senile.
Hermione makes that really sharp point, too. People went home for the summer, read those headlines for 2 months. Maybe they don't fully believe Voldemort's back anymore. Propaganda works.
And that mental connection, Harry's visions, it leads directly to Mr. Weasley getting attacked.
While he's guarding the Department of Mysteries for the Order, Harry sees it through the snake's eyes, the Nagini's eyes.
Yeah.
Saves his life, really.
That whole sequence at St. Mungo's Hospital afterwards, it's great world building, but also really grim.
Yeah, you see the everyday magic healing, like the creature-induced injuries corridor, blood-replenishing potions.
But you also see the long-term damage, Neville visiting his parents.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. And the Janus Ficky ward for long-term spell damage. His mom just gives him that empty gum wrapper. Doesn't really recognize him.
It's just this quiet, devastating moment showing the real lasting cost of the First War, even as the second one is brewing. It's not just politics, it's ruining families.
Okay, before we go any further, we absolutely have to say, spoilers ahead, big ones. If you haven't finished book 5, maybe pause here and come back after you have. Seriously, final warning.
Great, deep breath, here we go.
So the climax, it's driven by another vision Harry has. But this one is terrifyingly specific. Sirius being tortured by Voldemort down in the Ministry.
And Harry just reacts. All emotion, no critical thinking. He's convinced it's real, convinced the weapon Voldemort wants is down there in the Department of Mysteries. He remembers seeing that black door when he went for Mr. Weasley's hearing.
He has to go save Sirius. He leads his friends straight into it.
And the irony is just intense. They get to the Department of Mysteries, find the Room of Prophecies, towering shelves of these dusty glass orbs.
And the thing Voldemort actually wants isn't Sirius, it's the prophecy about him and Harry, which ends up getting smashed anyway during the fight.
Yeah. All that secrecy, all that struggle, this desperate race for this object, and it shatters. Rendered totally meaningless in that moment.
The fight is chaos, Death Eaters show up, members of the Order arrive, and then the truth bomb drops. Voldemort himself appears in the Ministry atrium.
Right in front of Cornelius Fudge, Dumbledore arrives, they duel, and suddenly Fudge can't deny it anymore. There's Voldemort, plain as day. The denial is shattered.
But it comes at such a terrible cost. Sirius.
Sirius dies, killed in the battle. And it's just gut-wrenching, especially because Harry's vision, his recklessness, fueled by that isolation Dumbledore imposed, led them all there.
Which brings us to Dumbledore's confession at the end. Why he kept Harry in the dark all year.
Yeah, this is huge. The core moral question, maybe. Dumbledore admits he withheld the prophecy. Yes, partly to spare Harry the burden.
But the bigger reason.
The bigger reason was realizing Voldemort's endgame. He figured out Voldemort wanted to use that mental link, that emotional connection, to possess Harry.
Possess him? Wow.
Dumbledore was afraid that if Harry knew the prophecy that neither can live while the other survives, Voldemort could manipulate Harry, maybe even make Harry want Dumbledore to sacrifice him to kill Voldemort. He was trying to protect Harry's soul, his very self.
So was he right? To use deception, to keep Harry isolated, to protect him from that truth, even though that isolation led to disaster.
That's the question, isn't it? It's a classic greater good dilemma. He protected Harry from one danger, but exposed him to another. His secrecy inadvertently caused the very recklessness that killed Sirius.
And the book ends with the world irrevocably changed. Fudge has to admit Voldemort is back. The Azkaban Dementors revolt, joining Voldemort. The Second Wizarding War has officially begun. No more hiding.
So, wrapping this massive book up, what are the big takeaways from this deep dive? I think first, you see the absolutely disastrous cost of political denial. Fudge's refusal to see the truth literally endangered everyone.
Definitely. And second, maybe something about vulnerability. Harry's greatest strength, his ability to love, his strong emotions, that's also the exact thing Voldemort tries to twist and use against him.
Yeah, his strength is his weakness, is his strength. It's complex.
Okay, so we'll leave you with this to chew on. Dumbledore finally tells Harry the prophecy. Neither can live while the other survives. Think about this. What if Dumbledore hadn't waited? What if he'd told Harry that right at the start of the year? How would knowing that burden, that destiny, have changed Harry's actions? Especially in that final dash of the Ministry. Was Dumbledore ultimately right to shield him, even with the tragic consequences?
Something to think about. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
It's such a huge turning point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So our goal today isn't just, a plot summary. We really want to dig into the key strategies, the character drives, and the big themes that signal, well, the final showdown with Voldemort is truly coming.
Yeah, we're looking at how denial shifts into basically all-out war. First, we'll touch on the political scene, changes at Hogwarts, that kind of stuff. But just a heads up for everyone, to really get why this book matters so much, we have to talk about the Horcrux mission and that ending. So fair warning, there will be major spoilers later on.
Okay, let's start with the politics, because it hits you right away. After everyone finally figures out Voldemort is back, Cornelius Fudge is gone as minister. Rufus Grimjour steps in.
And it's kind of striking how fast the Ministry goes from everything's fine to, well, it looks like organized panic almost. Scrimgeour is described with that sort of lion look, veteran vibe. It feels like they're trying hard to project strength, finally admitting, okay, we are at war, but does it actually make things safer or just look safer?
That's the thing. It creates the appearance of control, which, is important for morale. The sources really hammer home how scary things have become. Like when Harry visits Diagon Alley, people aren't just shopping. They're jumpy, sticking together, desperate for anything to protect them from infree, werewolves,
Dementors. And that fear just opens the door for scams, doesn't it? It really shows how the war is affecting society. Arthur Weasley gets that new job, right? Confiscating fake defensive charms because people are selling absolute junk, like fake potions that are basically just gravy and pus or something.
Exactly. The war isn't just spells and curses. It's happening in the marketplace, too. Opportunists, like Mundungus Fletcher, are actually doing pretty well exploiting people's fear. The Ministry tries to clamp down with visible stuff, canceling Hogsmeade trips, more Aurors around, but underneath, people are still terrified.
Right, and while all that's happening, Dumbledore's making his own moves back at Hogwarts. He brings back Horace Slughorn for potions, and he's...
Right.
Well, he's an interesting character choice, isn't he? Not just a teacher hire. It seems strategic. Slughorn likes collecting important people, avoids trouble. Kind of the perfect distraction.
And the direct result of Slughorn coming back is massive. It's the change everyone's been waiting for, or maybe dreading. Severus Snape finally gets the Defense Against the Dark Arts job he's wanted for so long.
Is that just luck, or is Dumbledore playing 4D chess here? Because Snape moving out of potions opens the door for Harry. I mean, Harry and Ron only get into NEWT potions because Slughorn exceeds expectations OWL grades. Snape would have demanded outstanding. It's a small detail, but it puts Harry right where he needs to be for the year's big mystery.
Which is, of course, the Half-Blood Prince. Harry suddenly becomes brilliant at potions, doing better than Hermione even. And it's all down to this borrowed textbook, advanced potion making filled with these handwritten notes and improvements.
Harry thinks the prince is a genius, right?
Yeah.
Pure talent. He even figures the prince probably wasn't a Death Eater because of the term half-blood. So it connects the plot device, the better potion recipes, to this bigger theme about where knowledge comes from and, like, is it okay to use shortcuts left by someone else, even someone morally ambiguous?
And we get confirmation, ruling out the usual suspects. Lupin says pretty clearly it wasn't him, or James, or Sirius. He points out James was pure blood. So the prince stays this kind of ghost tutor, helping Harry succeed, while Dumbledore is trying to guide Harry towards understanding, well, the roots of actual evil.
Yeah, those private lessons with Dumbledore, they're the real heart of the book, thematically. Forcing Harry to face Voldemort's origin story, seeing it all unfold in the pensive.
Oh, those memories are absolutely key. You see the Gaunt family, Marvolo, Morphin, Myrtle Pie living in total squalor, obsessed with blood purity. It's horrific.
Yeah.
And the big reveal, Erobont is Voldemort's mother.
And his father, Tom Riddle Sr., the handsome muggle. It's just such a tragic, messed up story. Dumbledore figures Myrtle Pie probably used a love potion, tricked him into marriage. But then maybe she stopped using it and he just left her.
What gets me is Merope's choice after he leaves. She gives up magic completely. Doesn't even use it to save her own life. Not even for her baby son, Tom Riddle Jr. She names him and dies right there in the orphanage. It suggests this, I don't know, profound hopelessness. Voldemort was basically conceived through trickery and born into total abandonment.
And you see how that shapes him. Dumbledore visits him at the orphanage, age 11. He's smart, yeah, but already using magic to hurt people who annoy him. And he's stealing things, these little trophies from his victims. Dumbledore calls it a magpie-like tendency. Chilling.
It's more than just kid stuff, though. Dumbledore sees even then that his experiments were about control, fear, punishment. He was already leaning into cruelty. And then later you see Voldemort as an adult. Or, well, what's left of him features burned and blurred, those permanently bloody eyes coming back to Hogwarts asking for the data job. Dumbledore shuts him down immediately. Their rivalry was set long ago.
Exploring Voldemort's past, his weaknesses, his mother's desperation, his own childhood fears, that's the foundation Dumbledore is trying to give Harry. Which makes the end of the book just gut-wrenching. Okay, so we're moving into the climax now, the really tough stuff at the end. If you haven't finished the book, seriously, this is your spoiler warning pause. We're going deep now.
Right, let's talk about the buildup, especially Draco Malfoy. The sources make it clear he's under incredible stress, both mentally and physically. He looks sick, dark circles under his eyes, that grayish tinge to his skin. He's clearly cracking under the pressure of whatever mission Voldemort gave him.
And that mission is tied directly to the unbreakable vow, isn't it? We see that scene with Snape, Narcissa, and Bellatrix. Narcissa's desperate, begging Snape to help Draco, and Snape takes the vow. He promises to carry out the deed if Draco fails. That one promise basically seals Snape's fate.
It also, arguably, gives Dumbledore some level of, well, assurance about Snape's actions, perhaps? Malfoy's desperation leads to those attacks, which are clumsy, almost amateurish. Shows he's not cut out for this. Katie Bell gets cursed by that necklace just brushing it through a tiny hole in her glove. She was actually pretty lucky it wasn't worse.
And then Ron gets poisoned. Saved only because Harry remembers that tip from the Half-Blood Prince's book about shoving a bezoar down someone's throat. Quick thinking, thanks to the prince.
Hermione points out that both attacks were meant to kill, but they failed, and neither even hit the right target. It just highlights the gap between the high stakes and Draco's competence, really. He's a kid trying to do something horrific.
What the writing does so well here, though, is balance that darkness with really human, intense personal drama. The characters still feel real, their relationships matter, even with this backdrop of war.
Absolutely, like the whole Ron and Hermione situation. Her fury when he starts dating Lavender, leading to that Opugio spell with the birds attacking Ron. It's funny, but also raw. You know, it keeps things grounded. You need those moments.
And then there's that confrontation Harry overhears between Malfoy and Snape at Slughorn's party. Malfoy's actually yelling at Snape, accusing him of avoiding him, sounding almost defiant, like, go on, report me to Dumbledore.
Yeah, that confuses Harry, Ron, and Hermione. But for us reading it, it suggests Snape's role is way more complicated. Is he managing Malfoy? Trying to protect him from failing, maybe? Even Lupin, who admits he doesn't like Snape personally. Old history there says he trusts him because Snape made the Wolfsbane potion perfectly for him. Lupin's line, Dumbledore trusts Severus, and that ought to be good enough for all of us, just hangs there, setting up the tragedy.
Which brings us right to the climax. The focus now is totally on the Horcruxes finding and destroying them to make Voldemort mortal.
Harry goes with Dumbledore to get one. And seeing Dumbledore so vulnerable, it's shocking. He has to force himself to drink that awful potion, and it weakens him so much, Harry practically has to carry him back. It really shows Dumbledore's commitment, the price he's willing to pay.
They get back, and the dark mark is hanging over the castle. It's that awful moment of betrayal. Malfoy confronts Dumbledore, but he can't do it. And then Snape arrives and kills Dumbledore right there on the tower. Harry can't do anything. Dumbledore had put him in a body-bind curse to keep him safe, and it only breaks when Dumbledore dies.
The fallout is instant.
Yeah.
Harry grabs the locket, the Horcrux Dumbledore gave everything for, only to find out it's a fake. A complete devastating failure.
And inside that note from RAB saying basically, I got the real one and I'm going to destroy it. I might die doing this, but hopefully when you finally face him, he'll be mortal again.
Talk about a gut punch. Dumbledore's final sacrifice, his big play. It was based on a decoy, the mission's already compromised, and someone else, this mysterious RAB, who knew Voldemort's secrets, already tried and possibly died doing the same thing. The game just changed completely. It's not just defense anymore. It's a race.
And in the middle of all that grief and chaos, there's that powerful moment about love and loyalty. Bill Weasley gets attacked by Greyback, the werewolf, but he wasn't transformed at the time. Bill survives, but he's badly scarred. He won't look the same anymore.
Mrs. Weasley is heartbroken, thinking Fleur will leave him now, but Fleur just fiercely defends him. She says, it would take more than a werewolf to stop Bill loving me. All these scars show is that my husband is brave. It's this defiant statement that love, real love, which is a constant theme, endures despite the scars of war, physical or otherwise.
The book ends with Harry making that final commitment. He tells Ron and Hermione he's not going back to Hogwarts next year. He'll go back to the Dursleys briefly like Dumbledore wanted, but then he's gone for good. He's starting the Horcrux hunt.
Yeah, the whole story now points to one thing: destroy the Horcruxes. Our deep dive really shows how the focus shifts completely from just trying to survive Voldemort to actively taking him apart piece by piece.
So what's the takeaway for you listening? That ending twist, Dumbledore's death, RAB's note, it just catapults the heroes into the final mission. I mean, the next book, Deathly Hallows, literally starts with chapters called The Dark Lord Ascending and In Memoriam. No turning back now.
The big thing this book does is show even the greatest wizard isn't infallible. Dumbledore's plan, his final act, was undone by one unknown person's actions.
And here's something to think about. Harry's quest kicks off with this major setback, Dumbledore dying for a fake Horcrux. But that note from RAB, it's the first real proof that Voldemort can be outsmarted, that his secrets aren't impenetrable. How important is that piece of knowledge for Harry moving forward? And who is RAB, willing to face death just to make Voldemort vulnerable? Definitely a lot more to uncover there. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows? Yeah, it's a beast of a book. So much going on.
Absolutely. The sheer weight of it, wrapping up this huge story. And, we've had requests for a kind of guided tour.
Right. So our mission, basically, is to pull out the core of it. The emotional stuff, the narrative engine, what happens when, the bad guys actually win, institutionally speaking.
And how that quest for immortality, the Horcruxes, clashes with the Hallows, sacrifice versus obsession.
Exactly. And the book opens with such a dark, oppressive feel. Malfoy manner?
Oh, yeah. That scene with Charity Burbage, the Muggle studies professor, it's just chilling.
It is. And it's more than just a murder, right? It's symbolic. Killing her in front of Snape and the others. It says knowledge, tolerance, that's the enemy now.
It really sets the stage for the Ministry falling. It's not just corrupt, it's actively malevolent.
Totally. And then the evil sort of bureaucracy kicks in.
The Muggle-born register.
Which basically writes racism into law. This idea that magic has to be pure or else it must have been.
Stolen. Theft or force.
Yeah. It feels very real, doesn't it? More than just standard fantasy evil. It's got that political edge.
It really does. How effective do you think that is, using this fantasy world to mirror that kind of real-world oppression?
I think it's incredibly effective. Because it forces the good guys underground, Yeah. The system itself is persecuting them, the Daily Prophet spreading lies, prejudice becoming official. There's no fighting it from within.
They have to become fugitives, outlaws.
Exactly, which leads straight into the danger, the cost of just trying to survive, getting Harry away from Privet Drive.
The 7 Potter sequence.
Yeah.
Wow. So much tension.
Such high stakes. 7 people risking their lives with Polyjuice Potion just to create decoys.
But even then, you get those little moments like the Weasley twins.
Right. Messing with Moody. I'm George. I'm Fred, really. That necessary bit of humor.
But the ambush comes fast, and the cost is immediate. Bill brings the news.
Mad-Eye Moody.
Gone. A huge loss for the Order right at the start.
And it's partly down to Harry, isn't it, using Expelliarmus?
Yeah, Lupin really calls him out on that. His signature spell, the disarming charm, it basically flagged him for the Death Eaters.
It's his refusal to kill, but in war, that predictability is dangerous.
It's a fascinating point. His moral strength becomes a tactical weakness, shows how integrity can be, well, a liability when things get this dark.
So as everything gets bleaker, Harry starts gathering these objects. The locket from the cave with the RAB note.
And Sirius's broken mirror piece, things that seem almost random at first.
But alongside that physical quest, there's this huge psychological blow coming. Rita Skeeter's book on Dumbledore.
Oh, yeah. That really throws Harry for a loop, digging into Dumbledore's past, his friendship with Grindelwald,
Those youthful ideals about the greater good. It's pretty shocking stuff.
and learning about Ariana, Dumbledore's sister. The tragedy there, the secrecy. It really humanizes Dumbledore, but also complicates him massively. Makes Harry question everything. Was Dumbledore this wise guide, or was he manipulative? A
Yeah.
chess master playing a long game?
Yeah, exactly. It's messy.
Okay, right. We need to pause here for a moment. Up to now, we've tried to keep things relatively spoiler-free, focusing on the setup.
But from here on out.
We're going deep, full spoilers. We'll be talking about major plot points, who lives, who dies, the ending, everything.
So if you haven't finished the book, seriously, this is your exit ramp.
Consider yourselves warned.
Okay. So, spoiler territory it is. Let's talk about the trio, that isolation in the Forest of Dean.
Brutal, just moving constantly, cold, hungry, relying entirely on Hermione's little beaded bag.
The psychological pressure is immense, and then there's the locket Horcrux.
Ugh, yeah, it doesn't just sit there, it actively attacks them, especially Ron.
Right. It targets his deepest fears, his insecurities, that he's the least loved son,
By the mother who craved it daughter.
least loved now by the girl who prefers your friend. It's psychological warfare, perfectly tailored.
That's what the Horcrux does. Right. It doesn't just hide a soul piece. It tries to destroy hope from the inside out.
Absolutely. Which makes Ron leaving so painful, but also understandable.
Okay, but his return, using Dumbledore's Deluminator, does that feel a little convenient, like a plot device?
I see what you mean, but I think it's more than that. It works thematically. The Deluminator doesn't just show him the way back physically.
He hears Hermione's voice.
Exactly. It draws him back through that connection. It's like the ultimate anti-Horcrux. You know, Horcruxes sever the soul, break connections. The Deluminator reinforces them. It says love, belonging. That's the real magic.
That makes sense. And that idea of connection, maybe deeper magic, leads into the other big thread, the Deathly Hallows.
Right. Their visit to Xenophilius Lovegood, he tells them the story of the Peveril brothers.
The Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, the Invisibility Cloak.
And suddenly there's this split. Hermione's like, no, focus, Horcruxes, that's the mission. Very practical.
But Harry and Ron, they've just seen the Deluminator work its magic. They're more open to it.
It's that classic tension, isn't it? Reason versus faith, stick to the plan or follow these ancient legends.
And things escalate dramatically at Malfoy Manor. They get caught because Harry says Voldemort's name.
The taboo curse, yep. And inside, it's horrific. Bellatrix torturing Hermione.
Asking about the Sword of Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Believing they stole it from her vault. Just awful.
It's maximum emotional impact. The horror of the torture, and then Dobby.
Oh, Dobby, his sacrifice, showing up, disapparating them.
And Bellatrix throwing that knife, his last words, Dobby, Harry Potter, just gut-wrenching.
Burying him there on the beach without magic, it seems to give them new resolve.
It really does. It clarifies the stakes.
Yeah.
Which leads them to Gringotts, Hufflepuff's cup.
Okay, we need to talk about this bit. They use the Imperious Curse on Travers and Bogrod, an unforgivable curse. Yeah, the morality gets murky here. The author seems to be saying that in this kind of war, sometimes you have to use the enemy's tools, but for the greater good, not for personal power like Voldemort.
Right. The motives matter. But it's still uncomfortable. The break-in itself is amazing, though. The disguises, the multiplying treasure.
And escaping on a dragon. Talk about breaking free.
A great symbol, raw magic escaping that cold, calculating institution.
So, Hufflepuff's cup is destroyed. Harry's connection to Voldemort's mind leads him to the last one.
Ravenclaw's diadem, hidden at Hogwarts.
In the Room of Requirement. Voldemort hid it there the night he asked Dumbledore for a job.
Which is kind of perfect, isn't it? He saw this incredibly magical room, a place defined by human need and desire.
And just saw it as a storage closet.
Exactly. Shows he fundamentally doesn't understand people, or that kind of magic.
Okay, so this brings us to probably the most pivotal moment. Snape.
Snape's death. Voldemort kills him in the Shrieking Shack.
Because he thinks Snape is the master of the Elder Wand, right? Mistakenly.
Completely mistaken. But as Snape is dying, he gives Harry his memories. That silvery blue liquid.
And watching those memories, wow. Everything clicks into place. His love for Lily, his whole life.
His pact with Dumbledore. Spying on Voldemort. All of it driven by this lifelong, unrequited love.
But then the bombshell. Dumbledore telling Snape that Harry must die at the right time.
And Snape's reaction. You have been raising him like a pig for slaughter.
Devastating. It just throws Dumbledore's entire plan into this terrible, morally gray light.
It makes Snape's tragedy even deeper. All that sacrifice, all that compromise. Believing Harry was just, well, disposable in the end.
It's so complex. Snape is. He's awful in many ways, cruel even. But his actions ultimately stem from love.
Yeah, it really challenges you, doesn't it? Can a real sacrifice come from someone so flawed?
So Snape's gone. The final battle kicks off at Hogwarts. Voldemort demands Harry's surrender.
And Pansy Parkinson points him out. But then...
everyone else stands up. Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw. Wands out, protecting Harry, forcing the Slytherins out. It's a powerful image of unity.
But the cost. Oh, the cost is horrific. Fred Weasley...
Lupin, Tonks, Colin Creevey, so many others.
Just devastating losses. But then you get that incredible moment with Mrs. Weasley.
Facing down Bellatrix Lestrange.
Not my daughter, you bitch! It's the absolute peak of that maternal love theme. Pure protective fury.
Incredible. So Harry knows what he has to do. He walks into the forest, accepts his death.
Voldemort hits him with the killing curse, and Harry wakes up somewhere else.
King's Cross Station.
Yeah.
All white and clean. And Dumbledore's there.
Right. The big explanation scene. Dumbledore points out that mangled little creature under the bench.
It's a piece of Voldemort's soul that was inside Harry.
Exactly. But the key thing is why Harry survived the killing curse this time.
It goes back to the fourth book. Voldemort using Harry's blood to resurrect himself.
He took Lily's protection into himself, and by doing that, he accidentally anchored Harry to life. As long as Voldemort lived, Harry couldn't truly be killed by him.
He essentially tied Harry to life using Lily's love.
Wow. And Dumbledore confirms Harry's the true master of the Hallows, not because he sought power,
but because he accepted death. He used the Resurrection Stone to find the courage to sacrifice himself, not to bring people back permanently. He didn't crave the Elder Wand's power.
That's the whole point, isn't it? Voldemort fears death above all else. Harry accepts it. That's why Harry wins. He understands things Voldemort can't possibly grasp.
So he goes back, faces Voldemort one last time.
And explains it all. Explains why the Elder Wand won't work properly for Voldemort. Harry disarmed Draco, who had disarmed Dumbledore. Harry is the wand's true master.
And he lets Voldemort try to kill him again.
And the curse rebounds. The Elder Wand refuses to kill its master, and that's it. Voldemort is gone.
And then, 19 years later, the epilogue.
Yeah, the coda, things are quieter. Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny, seeing their kids off to Hogwarts.
Albus Severus, worried about being sorted into Slytherin, Harry reassuring him that the sorting hat takes your choice into account.
It provides closure. But the author adds that little touch at the end. Ron's joke to Rose.
About Scorpius Malfoy. Granddad Weasley would never forgive you if you married a pureblood.
Right. It's lighthearted, but it's a little reminder that, old prejudices, old ways of thinking, they linger, even in peacetime. Society doesn't just magically become perfect.
So wrapping this all up, the core message seems to be about choice, doesn't it? Choosing love, choosing sacrifice over power and the fear of death.
Absolutely. Harry masters the Hallows by not wanting to master death.
Which leaves us with maybe
Yeah.
one final thought to chew on. About Dumbledore. He claimed he learned his lesson about desiring the Hallows back when he was young, with Grindelwald. But his final plan involved him secretly keeping the Elder Wand and ensuring Harry found the Resurrection Stone.
Right. He put Harry directly in the path of the same temptations.
Was he truly reformed, or was he setting Harry up, maybe subconsciously, hoping Harry could handle the power Dumbledore himself couldn't trust himself with? Guiding him, yes, but also testing him with the ultimate power.
Yeah. That's a really interesting question. Was Dumbledore still wrestling with that desire for the Hallows even as he planned his own death,
Yeah.
trying to ensure they landed in the right hands, perhaps because he knew his own weren't pure enough?
Adds another layer of complexity to him, doesn't it? Even at the very end.
It certainly does. A very human layer.